Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about causes of the nails lifting. So I'm going to touch a little bit on acrylic nails lifting, a little bit on gel nails lifting, and a little bit on just enhancements lifting, you know, things that apply to both gel and acrylic. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you take anything away from this at all that helps you throughout your day at the salon. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's what keeps small YouTubers like me going, and it's what allows us to go an extra mile for you. So, causes of lifting. I would number these, but if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I can't keep track of that. So let's just begin. So first things first, is this a problem for all of your clients? Is it a problem for just one of your clients? Maybe two of them? Maybe they work together? Maybe they're picking? If this is starting to be your whole clientele, you know, if people are coming in every single day with a lot of lifting, whereas they weren't before, then maybe you need to look into your product, your prep. There's 100 different things. You just kind of need to go through your steps and maybe see what you're skipping out on. Maybe you've gotten a little too comfortable over the years with your prep practice. We all do it. I've had to go back a couple of times throughout my career and look at what I'm doing to make sure that it's proper, to make sure that it's right. So if it's just one client, you know, chances are it's either work practices or at-home cleaning. Maybe there's something going on in her life you just need to discuss with her. Perhaps she's doing more dishes. Maybe she's soaking in the bathtub more, or colder weather is here. It could be anything like that, but starting a dialogue with your client is how you find these things out. So your next possible cause for lifting: bad product, cheap product, and mixing brands. I know that, I don't know, as nail techs, I see on some of the forums that people get upset when you say you shouldn't mix brands as if they have some sort of right to do so. I'm not sure. Get a main brand of your number one builder, whether it's your gel line, whether it's your base gel line, or whether it's your base acrylic line. Get to know it. That only benefits you. Getting to know your product, knowing exactly your liquid and powder ratio. I just put up a video on that. I'm gonna try to link it wherever you link things. Maybe it's, you know, you need to get to know your product and what it's doing, and when it comes back, you get to know what's happening. So bad quality products, you know, if you're buying your product off eBay, just buy from a reputable distributor, get good stuff, get solid product. Your clients will thank you for it, their nails will thank you for it. So your lamp might be too old. That's another thing. Perhaps your bulbs are too old. Maybe they need change. Maybe it's placement in the light. Maybe the client is looking around, moving around, their hand is moving around. Maybe their thumb is really, some people's thumbs really lean over heavily. Perhaps the product isn't getting cured. An under-cured product is lifting. You know, again, with your lamp being too old, perhaps your liquid and powder, if that's what you're doing, maybe that is, maybe your mix ratio isn't right, so that's something you need to look at. Sometimes we start working a little faster as we get more comfortable with our product. Perhaps you're then working a little dry because you're trying to work a little faster. That's something to think about if your clients are starting to come back with a lot of lifting. So the next talking point, is your client mistreating their nails? Is it ripped off? Does it look like it's ripped off? If the nail is crazy damaged underneath, they've ripped that off, or they've broken it, whatever the case is. Maybe it wasn't their fault, but they've ripped it off. That's something that you can't argue when you look at the nail and it's badly damaged. You as a nail technician know it's been ripped off. If they come back and their nail is clean, it is not damaged, you know, then you need to look at your prep, then you need to look at your product. Sometimes, you know, perhaps your primer's gone bad, maybe it's something like that, but then you need to start looking into those things. Sometimes it's not just as simple as one thing, maybe it's a couple of things. So maybe your client isn't using their cuticle oil as you've instructed them to, and they're into too much water. This happens quite often. Again, with the baths every day, doing more dishes than usual, perhaps scrubbing their house down. Maybe there's been spring cleaning or fall cleaning or what have you. That's something else to look into, especially if this has something that is just kind of started with them. It's not something that they've, they haven't had a whole lot of lifting for years. They are just as if you'd lived for years, but they haven't come back with a whole lot of lifting before, and they're just starting to now. Again, open up a dialogue with them. Maybe it's something that they're doing. So your next cause of lifting, maybe their natural nails are too thin. They're a new client, they've just moved here from out of town, they had a set of nails on and they ripped them off because they couldn't find anybody good to do them. They've now come to you, their nails are really thin, they're brittle, they're peeling, they're in an awful mess because the previous set was ripped off. When you go to put a new set on, that nail is really flexing. It is flapping in the wind, which means it is pulling away from the product that you're putting on it. Every time it gets touched, every time it gets hit, it's pulling away. Not good for either one of you. Again, that's a dialogue you can have with your client. You can let them know that no, you cannot put on much, if any, for length on a new set. Instead of putting on these for their new set, you're going to need to put on these for their new set, just to allow them to recreate that base for the nail. 9 chances out of 10 they're fine with that. Just open that dialogue with them. If they don't know, then you can't get that understanding. So another cause for lifting, old material wasn't properly dealt with. So the client came in, they had a lot of lifting, you were in a hurry, you were not feeling the conversation, you wanted to go home, it was a Friday night, whatever the reason is, and you skip over kind of removing the old product. You file enough to put on the new. Don't do that. Don't do that to you. Don't do that to your client. They're walking out there with your name on 10 fingers. So please just don't do that. Find a good drill bit if that's what you need to find. Find a good file that you really like the grit of, and really do right by your clients. So your next thing that could be bringing on lifting, incorrect apex placement. So the apex is not in the right area. Maybe their nails grow super fast and it's moving that apex out, and then it's coming out here, and then this is heavy, and when they're hitting it, it's breaking, or it's popping out from the back because they're hitting it and the apex is way up here. If you have to move that apex back a little bit further, maybe this time they have to go a little bit longer because of a vacation, because of something, move that apex back and instruct them to please not go any longer than a regular fill time, unless they absolutely have to. Some people want to go 5-6 weeks. That's just not going to work. If your nails are growing quickly, the apex is moving, you get lifting, but people don't know this. You need to explain it to them. Explain that you're not just trying to get them back into bring in all their money, you're trying to bring them back in to make sure that their nail is healthy and it looks good. So bad prep, that's another cause of lifting. We could talk about that all day long. Go back through your prep steps. One thing that I find is a really good way to figure this out is to record yourself. Record yourself just as I'm recording myself doing the prep. Just record the hands doing the prep. See what you're doing. See exactly what you're doing. Removing your shine, whether it's maybe you're wiping really quickly with alcohol before you go to put on your product, and you're not really giving that a good scrub anymore. Maybe you've just got comfortable. Maybe you're in a hurry. It never hurts to go back over your preparation steps. So your next and most obvious cause for lifting is going to be product touching the cuticle. Make sure that you have taken the proper training, whether it's at a school, of course, depending on where you're from. Here we have to go to school. But if you feel as if you haven't had the proper training, there are people that give workshops. There are nail techs that give workshops in your area. I guarantee you that there is someone giving a workshop in your area. I myself give them in my area. I know you see on the nail tech pages, you can grab a mentor, talk to them about product placement. Again, you're coming back to your liquid and powder ratio with it coming into the cuticle. You're also talking about maybe your base gels aren't where you need them to be. Maybe you need to try a different brand because you need something that self-levels more or self-levels less. I could talk about this all day, but get the education. If you think that your school maybe failed you or your course, you didn't quite just grasp everything properly, go out there. It's up to you. Go out there and get your education. Okay, so that is it for today. Please subscribe if you haven't done so yet and give this video a thumbs up. I truly appreciate it. It really helps, and I'll see you next time.